First off, seeing how this is a brand new movie, I do feel inclined to say that this review will be full of spoilers, so watch it first and then come back. Before we get to the plot, I do want to mention the opening credits. They're real creepy as blood travels around the map. It sets the mood and gives you a little backstory to what we're about to see, mainly how Straker and Barlow purchased the old Marston house. When that's over, we get right to the point with Straker hiring some guys to pick up something very important at the port and deliver it to the basement of the house. Of course, we know this is Barlow, his master, and the vampire about to take over Salem's Lot. We meet Ben Mears, a famous author that originally was from Jerusalem's Lot, which is now Salem's Lot. Yeah, the town changed their name, but it's never really mentioned. Ben goes into town to rent a room and he gets introduced to Susan Norton, his love interest throughout the movie. After a bit of playful banter, she suggests that he talks to Eva Miller for a room. One thing I gotta give this movie are the cool transitions, this one being my favorite. Now at a school, we meet Mark Petrie and his friends, mainly Danny and Ralphie Glick. There's some rough housing on the playground, which forces Matt Burke to step in and stop him. Later on, at Mark's house, the kids are BSing around and we get to see his room, which is awesome. I especially like the Trog poster. After a bit, the Glick kids head home, but one of them doesn't make it. I love this part. It's without a doubt my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's almost wall art worthy. The kids are walking through the woods, silhouetted against the sun setting, and Straker sneaks up behind Ralphie, takes him as a sacrifice for his master. This is an amazing scene. Now we're at the drive-ins, which apparently is the only thing to do in Salem's Lot, because the place is packed. Susan and Ben sneak away and start gossiping. We learn that Susan is working on getting her real estate license, and Ben is back in town for inspiration for his new book. After that, the town learns of Ralphie's disappearance, and everyone chips in to help in the search for him. Even Ben, who meets Matt, and seeing how he's a teacher and Ben's a writer, Matt asks him to come talk to the class, and eventually a friendship is started between the two men. That night, Danny's lying in bed thinking about his brother when he gets a knock at the window. Ralphie doesn't hover outside like he did in the original, which I kinda liked a little better, but instead Danny goes outside looking for his brother. And, well, his brother finds him. Next, we're in the hospital, and we meet Dr. Cody, who's just informed the Glicks that Danny has pernicious anemia. Basically, he's got no blood, and little Danny wakes up thirsty, wanting to feed. After seeing this, I guess they think Danny's dead because we're at his funeral. After everyone leaves, Mike hears set the task to bury him. But as he does, he hears a slight knocking coming from inside the coffin. He jumps down for a closer look, and at first it's nothing, just a dead Danny. But he doesn't stay dead for long. Matt Burke goes to the local bar where he sees Mike in the shadows, looking pretty sick. So he does what any nice guy would do and offers him a place to stay at his house. Little does Matt know, he just invited a budding vampire into his humble abode. Matt sees what looks like bite marks on Mike's neck, and he starts to get sus, but I doubt he'd jump right to vampirism. Mike's probably just tired, that's all. Well, Matt hears something upstairs, he sees the broken window, and goes to get some help. Ben and Susan come over, and lo and behold, Mike's just chilling in bed, dead. Only a single drop of blood near his pillow. Dr. Cody comes over and confirms it. He's dead.
It's not a disease you can catch.
Mark gets a late night visitor, Danny, and this time he is flying right outside his window. And under a trance, Mark lets him in. Mark's a fan of horror, and he has a graveyard scene in his room. As the vampire gets closer, a cross lights up, burning Danny when he touches it, and he's forced out of the room. Mark vowing to free his friend from the curse. Matt has his own use for the cross, using it on Mike as he's fully turned now. I like the cross in this movie, how it glows. It really seems to give it power and proves that there is something supernatural going on here. Well, it's enough to convince Matt at least, but Dr. Cody needs more proof. Something she can't deny are all the dead bodies that are popping up lately across town. One of those dead bodies is Marjorie Glick, and our heroes pay her a visit to see if she will indeed turn. And guess what? She does! The three are terribly underprepared for a vampire attack, so they use popsicle sticks and some tape to build a makeshift cross. But lo and behold, it works! The same glowing power the others have, putting a stop to the fresh vampire. However, Cody did get bit in the fight. Thinking quickly, she had Susan inject her with the rabies vaccine, which luckily for Cody, seems to work. Meanwhile, Mark shows up at the Marston house, prepared for a fight, but he gets stopped by Matt. Together they head on in and get locked into the basement, Barlow waking up and taking a chunk out of Matt, while Straker kidnaps Mark. A little later, he wakes up and escapes. When Straker comes in for him, Mark takes him out with a pipe. Way to go. He next goes to the priest for some supplies and tries to convince his parents to head to the church for safety. Of course, they don't listen, and in their hesitation, Barlow makes a visit. Across town, Susan tries to convince her mom to go to the church, but she's not listening. Anne had a visitor, and with Straker out of the picture, Susan's mom has become Barlow's new familiar. While they talk, she's attacked, and Ben is forced to take Susan back to the church where Dr. Cody's waiting. But he's too late. Susan's already turned. In the morning, Ben and Cody find Mark, and it seems like they're the only humans left in the whole town. Mark knows that they're humanity's last hope, and it has to end tonight. But where is everyone? Where does the entire town go when there's nothing else to do? The drive-ins, of course, where we find everyone sleeping in their trunks. Well, that should be easy, just open them up and start stabbing. Well, don't forget about Ann Norton. She's here to protect everyone. Mark and Ben run and hide under the cars, but the sun's going down and everyone's waking up. Mark takes off while Ben's being attacked, and thinking quickly, Mark plows into the theater screen. Now, realistically, he would run into the first post and wreck his car, but this part's kind of cool. The screen falls down, revealing the sun, which burns up all the vampires. All of them but Barlow. They get his coffin out into the sunlight and try to open it, but try as they might, it won't budge, and the sun is setting fast. The two hide inside where Susan's waiting for them. Ben fights her off while Mark deals with Barlow, but what's he gonna do? Ben kills Susan with a broken chair leg, and Barlow plays reverse whack-a-mole with Mark until he has the kid right where he wants him. It's almost over until Ben stabs Barlow right through the mouth and then finishes him off. A stake through the heart. And that was 2024's Salem's Lot. And that's the problem when the original film is so good. It's hard to top it. It's why you don't see remakes of The Wizard of Oz or Back to the Future. The originals are so good, there's no point. Now, that's not to say Salem's Lot 2024 didn't have anything to add. I especially like the part where Straker took out Ralphie. That was cool. But I don't think anyone would argue with me when I say this film feels rushed. They were jamming a book which had a 3-hour miniseries into around an hour and 45 minutes. You're gonna lose some character development. I kinda wish I hadn't seen the original and came into this movie blind. Then I wonder if I would have liked it better. The original spoils us with all the lore of Jerusalem's Lot. I've also heard a lot of people complaining about the acting. It didn't really bother me that much, and I actually kinda like the end being at the drive-ins, especially when Mark knocked over the screen letting the sun shine down, frying all the zombies. But I do wish the grand finale with Barlow happened in his creepy estate. The effects were good, the music was great, and it was very scary. The perfect movie to watch in October. However, it's gonna feel rushed, especially compared to the originals. I give Salem's Lot 2024 2.5 glowing crosses out of 4.
You look familiar.
Well, how's the book?